Hey everyone, welcome to My Business Playbook. I just had an incredible conversation with Dan Martell. He is the author of Buy Back Your Time. We talked about the 3 revenue ceilings that you're going to hit in your business journey and how to overcome each constraint. We also talked about the most important hire you need to make in your business ASAP. And we talked about a whole heap of mindset stuff around scaling and growing. Enjoy. Now, I want to talk to you about business. I want to talk to you about life, family, mindset, all the things. But one of the things that you've talked about a lot that I think really resonates for our audience is the different ceilings that we go through in business. And you've talked about the 300K ceiling, the 2 mil ceiling, and the 10 mil ceiling.
Yeah.
And I'd love to talk through each of those stages and what you think the big constraint is at those stages.
100%. It's interesting because I didn't know that there was these natural ceilings in revenue until I remember asking my accountant about it. Because, I got fortunate after 2 failed companies that I hired a business coach, this guy named Bob, and Bob gave me the playbooks. And within the first year, we did almost $1 million in revenue and a couple million the year after. And it's I didn't go through the bottlenecks because I just failed hard and then found somebody to walk me through it. But I remember talking to a lot of my friends and noticed that some of them are making $100,000, other people making $300,000. And then there was these other, and I asked my accountant, Norm, I said, Norm, do you see a natural pattern? And he's 100%. But he didn't know why, because he didn't really talk to the entrepreneurs about their business. So I kind of made it a game to try to figure it out. And what I've learned is people that get stuck at 300,000 a year is because they're just really good at what they do and they never learn the skill of letting go. And they might even have somebody to help out a little bit, but they don't really let go. So they're micromanaging. So those people are specialists, and those are the doctors and the lawyers and all these entrepreneurs that literally are small businesses. But the other reason why they're small businesses is they also don't value their time. And I think that if you learn to value your time, then the letting go is almost a forcing function. But if you don't, then you never force yourself to learn to let go because you're just willing to brute force it and work 100 hours a week and, take out your own garbage and, manage your own schedule and errands and all that stuff. So that's the first level. And the reason why people don't let go is just the fear of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's real. You're scared they're going to embarrass you. Your clients are going to get pissed off. You're scared they're going to cost you money.
Yeah.
Which is a real fear, especially when, as a percentage of income, $1,000 problem is a serious problem. The worst though is people are worried that it's going to cost them their business. And that's a real one. If you've worked your butt off to build a business and you're worried some one person's decision is going to cost your whole business, that's a scary belief.
Yeah.
It's just not true. And then, so that's 300K. Then $1 million is learning, or really 2 million is kind of the upper limit. That's learning to have a team, right?
Yeah.
And the problem there is that a lot of people have this belief that the bigger they get, the harder it's going to be. And the truth is the bigger your business gets, it doesn't have to be harder. If anything, the bigger it gets, you can actually work less. That sounds like I'm selling crypto or something because it's a pipe dream, but it's true. And I've shown people the math and how it can work if you do it right. And then 2 to 10, which is my favorite to help people get through, is you got to learn to work through people. Because that's at 2 million, you can have you and then your direct reports to do the work for the clients or the customers or whatever it is. But to go from 2 to 10, you have to have a leadership team. And that means all of a sudden now you have to lead. And to be a leader means you have followers, which means they have to want to follow you, which most people, unfortunately, are just not, they don't get their stuff together and they just got a bunch of yes people. If you think about who do you need to become to get to a place where somebody is talented, is willing to work for you to help you achieve your dreams, you have to step up. You got to be somebody worthy of following. And that's a tough one for people to get to because, they're inconsistent. They might have some vices. They might have some problems. They might,
Yeah.
And it's just to be the person that other talented people want to follow, it's real personal work.
And what you said about to get to that, as you get to build a bigger business, it actually doesn't have to be harder. I think that belief is so prevalent in so many people that we work with. And I've noticed it myself of if I scale, it equals more hassle. It equals more risk. It equals all these other things. And we can associate scaling and growing with pain and sacrifice. And I'm going to lose control. I'm going to not be able to do my magic anymore. I'm going to be stuck in like managing all these people and it's not what I'm good at. So I feel like that belief of it actually doesn't have to be that way is so like core and such an important belief for us to get. How do we actually unwire or unwind some of those beliefs?
Well, I'll prove it to you. It's at the end of the day, I have a belief that I call it the 5x5 leadership strategy. You shouldn't have more than 5 direct reports.
Love.
So if you just force yourself to never have more than 5 people that you need to manage, then you have to get better because you can't manage 12, 13, 16, 20. Like I have some clients, when I start working with them, they have like 18 direct reports. You're crazy. Like there's no need for it. If you have 18 direct report, all it tells me is you don't trust anybody on your team. So to scale requires you to trust your talent. To trust your talent, it means you have to invest in your talent. And that's the other part is most people don't develop their people, right? If you think of like business as 2 funnels, you have the customer funnel, awareness, consideration, purchase, onboarding, activation, and retention. And then you have the talent funnel. Same thing, awareness, consideration, hire, onboarding, engagement, retention. To the degree your business is growing, you need both to come together at the same time. So like having the forcing function of only having 5 people to manage and then yourself, then it doesn't matter if you're running a $100 million business or 100,000, well, not 100, you wouldn't have that many people, but like a 10 million a year business, it's the same effort. Then you just got to ask yourself, do you have the right people? Are you showing up for them in the right way? Have you developed the skills? Are you developing your people in a leverage way? Those are all debatable questions. And that's usually where people get stuck.
Is there do you see, let me rephrase this question because this is just me asking you a point blank question about myself.
Those are my favorite conversations, by the way.
I'm just I love just
being
asking
on
you
here.
for advice.
No, let's do that.
Okay. So our journey has been, we've gone from last year, our business essentially tripled. And so we've just had this insane growth period. And so now we're in this 2 mil to now we want to do this 10 mil. Like journey.
Out of 0.
And so now we're kind of like, for a long time, I was like, my big goal was hitting a million. Then we did it. And I was a bit like, okay, what now? And so it's been this funny journey of going, okay, when you said it doesn't have to be hard, it doesn't have to be sucky, that for me, I've had to really unlearn some beliefs that I have about growing. And beliefs I have about scale. And part of my beliefs have been, oh, what if you're not a good leader? Or what if you take on too much and there's too much risk? I'm quite okay, like comfy with risk. But like, what if you can't pay your staff? What happens if you hire the wrong person and it causes a big headache down the road? So the people thing has been my big constraint because I've been like,
you don't mind hurting yourself. You just don't want your people to hurt.
Exactly. The biggest thing that keeps me up at night, the thing that I would get most stressed about is people.
Which tells me you're an incredible leader.
Really?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, because you'll sacrifice for you for them. Just in that statement. You've just shown me that. And that's why people want to follow you because they believe you're going to put their interests at heart.
And then, but then it's this dance because growth, and you talk about the pain line a lot, right? So then we won't grow into pain. So then how do you bust through that point where you have to go, I have to become a better leader and I have to build leaders? How do you bust through that bit?
Well, here's the cool thing about pain. It's optional. Pain is a perception of the meaning you give to a situation. So you might have something to happen and you can decide to be super upset and create pain. Or you can step back and go, what's my lesson? Did I learn it? Did I update the playbooks? Yes, it's a learn once. So I have a media company and a team member recently came to me and informed me that we had lost about 3 hours worth of footage, about 10 million views worth of content. See that feeling you just had? Now, because I've been doing this a long time, I go first, is that a people problem or a process problem? So I say, is there a process? Yes. Was it not followed? No. So there was a process. So then we asked, is it a people problem? So technically it was. who are the people involved, who they report to? Perfect. Do they understand their level of accountability in the situation? It turned out they did. And I said, here's the deal. Sounds like you understood what went wrong. You learned the lesson. I trust you didn't do it like maliciously. You're a good person that I want on the team. So we just call it a learn once. Do it again. You don't have to tell me because you can't be on the team anymore.
Yeah.
Do we have an agreement? Like, and it's not from a place of anger or frustration. Like the person who is my direct report, his direct report, if it happens again, that person is no longer allowed on the team.
Yeah.
Because clearly there's a system and a process they chose not to properly train or follow. And if it happened again, it meant at that point, they're choosing to be ignorant.
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to accept it because that's like a $250,000 problem for us. Like I had to reshoot the content that we lost and I didn't have the original footage. So I had to do it in a different environment. So, but I think a lot of people in those situations would have probably got really upset, would have screamed at people, would have like, I mean, even my direct report was like super, like really upset. I was like, dude, you got lots of feels around this. He's like, yeah, it's just not cool. And just like, I can't believe it. Oh, and it took the guy a week to tell us.
Oh,
see that? So like even more feelings. Again, you can have the feelings or you can choose not to. I choose to ask myself simple questions like, is it a process problem? If it is, create a process. So I had another situation just came up and I was just like super unfortunate. And I just said, hey, can you create a process to ensure that this never happens again? Once they showed it to me, I go, that looks great. Now I don't have to worry about it. Move on. I think just a lot of people get bogged down by scale because they create emotional shrapnel that doesn't need to be there. That's leadership. Because what happens is you teach people how to lead. So if you always overreact to things, guess what you just taught your leaders? To do the same. And guess what? They'll bottleneck their own teams because you bottleneck them.
Yes.
So I always go, trust your talent, teach them, don't tell them. So like train them. That's why I do leadership training every Monday. And I always teach them based on the thing that's going to make the biggest impact to the most people, that's going to create the most value for the business. That's how I prioritize my trainings. And just like you coach your clients, you should coach your team. And most coaches don't coach nearly to the same level to their internal team. Like most coaching companies don't have an internal portal with trainings that are team specific, not for the clients, but for their own team that talk about the principles and the ethos and just like how we do things. What's our way, the way of you building and scaling this company. If you actually did that work, I think you would feel a lot less pressure because there's a story you told yourself that it has to be hard for me to scale.
Totally.
Well, guess what? The alternate is also true. Scale is beautiful, freeing, awesome, light, energetic, energy giving. Scale is creative. Scale is expansion. Scale isn't hard at all. Scale is actually effortless. When you're doing it right, it's so beautifully awesome. If anything, you got to allow it to happen.
That's so true. Because I feel like I've had this moment and one of the coaches on our team, he's a really good friend of ours. He also does sales in our business. So he's like super invested in the business. And he's one of those people that when you talk about having great talent, people who are like, you kind of look at them and you're like, you could be doing your own thing. Why do you want to work with us? Like that feels, attracting those people feels like, oh, cool. Like we must be doing something right if those people want to work with us to achieve the vision. And he said to me recently, he was like, we did this big event and I love doing events. I love communicating, speaking, all the things. And afterwards he was like, he gave me some feedback. He was like, you're the one holding the whole thing up. So like, what are you doing? Let's scale this. He was like, what are you doing? Why are we not doing this? And he was like, also, it's time for you to throw your weight around a bit more. And I was like, okay. Because he was like, you're like, show up as this like creative person.
Everything's awesome. You don't ruffle any feathers. But he's saying, hey, I need you to express your preferences a little bit more.
And also like owning, and I talked about this with Renee before, of like owning your space and being like, we do these events and they sell out and people come for me. And I've realized this and the humble thing of like being like, oh no, but they'll come for this other speaker that I bring in and I want it to be about everyone like having an awesome time, winning, blah, blah, blah. But there's this dance now of going, okay, I've got to be able to still be humble, but also be confident and have the like
totally
a bit of that badass energy as well.
Yeah, badass. You can just find the language that feels positive around
Yeah.
explaining it, because words do matter.
Yeah.
So like a lot of people say like, I know I got to be more hard ass with my team. And I'm like, that doesn't sound fun.
No.
I say, so what's a better word to use that, right? Maybe I got to lead with more confidence, or I got to
Yeah.
express my preferences, or I got to communicate my standards is another one I use all the time, right? Because
Yes.
people don't buy your presence, they buy your standards.
Yeah.
Right? So your team is an expression of your standards. So you think they're buying you, but they actually would love to see your team on stage expressing what you teach them to go find, so that they can pattern match the people that they see on stage.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, that's
And
really
trust
cool.
me, I remember I had a high-end group program, and this woman named Nessa ran it. And she ran the whole program. I was, I'd show up for the events, but I would even facilitate. Like, I wasn't involved in the creation, the production, or anything. Like, I was pretty much arriving as an attendee and a facilitator. We had speakers. Nessa ran it.
Yeah.
There was one thing that I always had to do final approval. Every person that came in that applied, she did all the interviews, and then she'd send it to me for a 15-minute conversation so that I did the curation.
Yeah.
And I did this. She ran the program for years. And then finally one day we're in a meeting in our one-on-ones, and I said, is there anything I can do to better support you? And she goes, yeah, stop being involved in the approval. Okay, say more. Now my initial, well, no, this is my job. This is what I do. This is my
how
role. This is the thing.
Yeah,
What do you mean? Where would I be of value?
Yeah.
And she says this beautiful thing. She goes, the last 20 people, how many did you say no to? None. Is it time to trust me now? Oh, because she literally threw in my face what I write about in my book in the most beautiful, honest, simple way. And I said, you're right. I'm sorry. It's now yours. And I will tell you, there was a part of me that died, but it came back. I was just like, because like this thing that I held true, that I created this community now, is not mine to foster, but she's
For
right.
sure.
20 people, I've never said no. So I got to trust her. She's better at it than I do. Why
Yes.
would I create? 'Cause she's like, it takes too long for you to find time in your calendar to interview the person, to let the team know. And that it just made no sense.
Yeah.
The thing grew.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
So that's the part, is like, when I got out of producing my events, we had the highest NPS score, Net Promoter Score. Ouch. Ouch.
You're like, that hurts my ego
I'm like,
a little.
What do you mean I wasn't better at this than you guys? This is crazy.
Yeah, that's
And the beauty of it is, it's just proof you hired and you lead the people right. You have it sounds like you have a great team that want to see you win. They want to win.
They
You've
want to
created
win.
a platform.
Yeah.
If anything, you learning to let go without the emotional attachment or the emotional shrapnel you create is actually the thing that will allow it to grow.
Yeah.
And also be the best example for your clients from your point of view.
Yeah, and it's so
And you can still be you. You can still be in the audience. You can still be the biggest cheerleader. You just don't need to be on stage so much. You don't need to be like, I do events now where I go down, I do my 2 sessions, and I go and do my day and come back at the end of the day, and I'm not even around.
I love that.
I don't need to be around. I didn't say I'd be there the whole time. Never
Yeah.
told anybody that.
Yeah. No, that's really, really good. I like the language of emotional shrapnel, because I do feel like it does feel like you really have to dig into what have I made this mean? This story of
And
scaling.
who would you be without that story?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh no.
And totally. And so I think it's this we've gone on this journey recently of like, okay, cool. Let's just do it. Like and once we've made the decision, it's now like, well, then who do we need to become? What decisions are we going to make now that support that vision? Because we've made the call. But until I'd made the decision, we were floundering a little in like,
they need a direction.
Yeah.
My philosophy is, if I can't communicate a vision that's clear for the team, that's big enough for the team, that they can see where their dreams and goals fit inside of, then I'm not doing my job.
Yeah.
I kind of only have a few things I got to get right. And that one is really, really important. That when they ask me, what should I do with this? And I go, I don't know what you should do with this. Let me just tell you where we're going. Then I would ask you, what do you think we should do with that based on that direction? And they go, oh, that makes sense now. I know what to do. Perfect.
It's kind of like you're planning a vacation and you're saying, someone says, what should I pack in the bag? And you're like, I don't know. We're going to Hawaii. So you choose accordingly.
Yeah.
That's
like you're a big person. You got big girl or big boy pants. Put them on. Check the weather. You know the dates we're going. Like, I'm not going to tell you what to put in your suitcase. But if you pack like you're going to Aspen, you might be disappointed. But that's 100%. And again, I will let team members make those mistakes. Like, I'll watch them do it. I act like a 5-year-old on purpose so that they can learn those opportunities. 'Cause I don't want to steal those learning moments from them.
Yeah.
And I don't do it because I'm trying to like get them in a gotcha. I'm doing it because I think those are perfect scenarios to allow people to like take risk in a safe way.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And the safety thing, I think, is important.
Yeah. Like, showing up in Hawaii with snowboard gear is not going to hurt any of my clients. It's going to be uncomfortable for you.
And a bit funny.
And it's a learn once. Yeah, it's super funny. And we'll definitely crack jokes about it for the rest of our working career together. But I just think, like, even as a leader, trying to figure out where can you allow your team to take risks in a safe way is actually a beautiful concept.
Yeah. We had a moment recently with our head coach, and she's just stepped into this head coaching role. And she sent me this thing, and she's like, hey, Laura, I need to know what we need for the session, this end of year session. And I just wrote back, you tell me. And she was like, gotcha.
Isn't that cool?
That's my job. Yeah, she was like, okay, cool. I've got it. That's my job. I now have to lead.
Yep.
And I
call it
perfect.
editor, not author. You just became an editor, not an author. A leader does not author.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. It's literally saying, you tell me and then we'll have a conversation.
Yeah.
But I'm not here to do a first draft for you. I didn't hire you to do your job. It's like Charlie Munger said all the time, don't get a dog and then bark for it.
Yeah.
Like, let the dog do what it's supposed to do. You hired a dog to do the job. Let it do its job.
Yeah. I really love that. So back on these ceilings, because I think the 300K ceiling would be where a lot of our listeners are hanging at the moment. And so I'm curious what your thoughts are of like the thing that is stopping them, because they know this.
Exactly
They've read the book.
Yep.
I am like, read the freaking book. But they know it, but they still don't do it.
They do too many things.
Say more.
I was talking to an entrepreneur this morning. She literally was like, so I've got this going on, this going on, this going on. I'm thinking of doing this. And then I've got this, but I just don't know. Like, I'm deciding if I do this or that. I said, what's your annual revenue at right now? She goes, 55,000. I said, per month or per year? She goes, per year. Laura, you know. Like, what did you just gave me a laundry list of stuff you do? She's like, well, what am I supposed to do? I said, out of all that stuff you just said that you sell and the stuff you do marketing wise, what is the thing that makes you the most gross margin? Like the biggest dollar amount that you enjoy doing? And she told me, and I said, then your only job is to do marketing for that one product.
Yeah.
And everything else is considered a personal distraction that you're choosing to distract yourself with to make yourself feel good about being an entrepreneur, but you're just keeping busy. You ain't making any money. And the whole point of being in business is to make profit. So if you like 55K a year, keep doing what you're doing.
Yes.
So like most people that are small are stuck doing too many things for too many people because they're scared that if they choose that there won't be enough people to serve. And that's the faith you got to have. At the end of the day, pick one product, one customer, go all in, build that marketing engine. It's theory of constraint. This is where I got it from. Like, I'm a software guy. My background's in kind of systems design. There's a great book called The Goal by Elihu Goldratt. And it's one of 3 books that Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, tells all the executives they have to read. And the whole argument is, once you understand the number one bottleneck in your business that's stopping you from growing, and most businesses, there's only 3 areas to look. It's marketing, sales, and product. So if you have a product that people are buying, then go back to step 1, which is, do you have enough leads for that product? If you have too many leads and not enough sales, then fix your sales process. Until you sell too much, then you have a product problem, delivery, and then you fix that. And the cool thing about business is it's never not broken. Like, Laura, I just want everybody to hear this. There's never a time in your entrepreneurial career where it will never not be broken. That's actually the whole point of business, is you got to keep breaking the next thing and coming back and fixing it. And then what you do is just get better at dealing with broken things where it doesn't emotionally like ruin you, cause you not to get any sleep or.
That is so good. I feel like too, there's this, I am sure I saw it on a TV show, so it's not even profound, but it was there was some sort of scene where they were like, oh, what are we going to do about this? And someone was like, I think we're borrowing tomorrow's problem with that. And I thought, oh my goodness, how many times in business do we borrow tomorrow's problem and go, I'm going to try to solve for this problem that doesn't exist yet.
It hasn't happened.
And it's like exactly what you're saying. No, you don't have a delivery problem. You have a lead flow problem.
Yeah.
And you're
like,
stressing out.
But if I get a bunch of people, then I won't be able to deliver. I say, go make big problems. So like when I coach people personally, I call it hypotheticals or hypocritical. Your hypothetical situation that has not happened is a hypocritical problem I don't want to talk about. Like I am very maniacal of like, I need to talk about real things that are happening in your real business that are real problems.
Yeah.
And if they're not, we don't talk about them because they're made up. You're projecting a future that has not existing, and fear equals false evidence appearing real. That's what it stands for. And like, that's why I say emotional shrapnel is literally self-imposed hand grenades you throw in your business that you make up.
Yeah.
The opposite is equally true. You know, you're like scaling, you're like, oh my God, it's out of control. Or it's perfectly, beautifully, exactly what it should be for you at this level, for you to learn the lessons.
And I think that what you said about it's always going to be a bit broken, and that's kind of the beauty of it. And that's why we started, because we like solving problems.
It has to be.
Yeah.
If it's not broken, you're not trying hard.
Yeah, I really like that.
Oh, when I meet people and they're like, everything's great, I go, then dream bigger. You lazy, unmotivated. I don't care.
You're allowed to swear. You're allowed to swear.
Well, I usually use the word ding dong. I'll be like, you selfish fucker. No, I met a woman. She's like, my life is so good. I'm doing like $3 million a year and I've been doing it for 26 years and I don't even have problems and I don't even know what I'm going to ask you. I said, you're being selfish. She goes, why are you saying that? I said, you're being selfish because you've been at this for 20 some years. You're at 3 million in revenue. Do you have a team? Yes. How many people? 9. Perfect. They have dreams and goals, you fucking selfish person. And you have not helped them. Okay? 23 million. Go build the business so that they're, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And then I told her, I said, this is the vision I need you to hold true. I said, you involved in any charity work? Yeah, I do a few things. And I said, name me one. Animal shelter. Perfect. I want you to visualize a day where you're at the annual gala, because they all have them, where they're doing their fundraising for the year. And their goal for the whole next calendar year is $1 million to cover their operational overhead to manage the facility. And they're doing like a raffle for like $5,000 for some ski trip to try to raise $5,000 of the $1 million for the whole trip. And I want you to visualize the day you stand up and you say the words, $1 million. And she just got emotional.
I love that.
I said, that's what you need to hold true. That is interesting to me. That is a vision that's compelling. That's your problem. You feel like she felt rudderless. A lot of these entrepreneurs are actually doing good compared to their friends, not compared to their potential.
That's really good. That's really, really good. So with creatives, the sweet creatives.
I love creatives.
And these are my people.
Yes.
The big thing that I am finding and that I'm seeing is of like not the tactical things, not having one offer, one niche, one like really simple way to get leads.
Yeah.
That's like a really simple tactical thing. But beneath that, there are so many mindset things going on of, oh, what will people think if I say no to working with them? What will my family and friends think if I start actually getting bigger and it's not a little business anymore? What does it mean if I grow? Who do I need to become? All these things. And I feel like we don't even know how to express these things. And then when they realize the pain line thing comes into effect and they're like, and I had a conversation with a client this week. She's like, I think I need to make my goals smaller because I'm hitting my targets. She's doing crazy well and she's doing so much better than she ever thought she would. And she's like, now I'm getting really concerned about my capacity, blah, blah, blah. So I think it's a mindset thing and I think I need to make my goals smaller, whatever. And I was like, do you have an assistant? Because like
I knew she didn't just by the fact.
I know.
Yeah.
Totally. And so it was this thing of like, yes, we can talk about the mindset. And I do think there's so much mindset stuff. I mean, even what I shared before about I have these weird relationships with scaling.
But it's always mindset.
Yeah.
Like, Laura, I'm sitting here letting you know I'm not the person I need to become to achieve my goals.
Yeah.
I'm no different.
Yeah.
The only difference, I'm just a very self-aware that I have to go figure out who knows how to do that and who do I need to become and go do the work. Over time, you just learn how to become the person faster. So when you start, it takes a while, right? Because like trial and error, and you try this on, it's like trying on clothes. It's like, I don't know if I like this style. I don't know if it fits well. And eventually you just learn your style of learning, learn your style of expansion, learn your style of growing, and then you're just able to move faster.
Yeah.
But like most creatives have this really weird belief that, it's not a weird belief, they have a belief that nobody can do it the way I do it.
Yes.
Okay. So have you ever heard of an author named Tom Clancy? He writes like, he's written Hunter Red October, Patriot Games, like all these big books that became movies.
Yes.
Rainbow Six video games. Like he's the guy.
Was he Jack Ryan?
Yeah, Jack Ryan. So the huge franchise. Okay.
Yeah.
He just came out with a book called like something Defense Protocol, like literally 2 weeks ago. Best-selling book.
Yeah.
Okay. He died in 2013.
What?
Exactly. That's my whole point. People do not realize that art can be codified, systematized, designed into principles to the point that after your death, if you have the know-how to go on this journey that I'm talking about, your beautiful craft can be taught and shared with other people way past your time here on earth. So the magic snowflakes, it's not a magic snowflake. You learned how to do this. If somebody who stepped in your same shoes and went over the same process and read the same books and experienced the same experiences would also know how to do this. And your job is actually to take that one thing of craft and break it into individual pieces and teach it as systems that somebody else can create art. A great song has a pattern. A great book has a pattern. A great training course, a great sculpture. They all have patterns. I mean, Andy Warhol, who is like famous for some of the art he did back in the day, had a whole thing called The Factory where he had interns that collaborated with him and he was involved in the ideation part. And honestly, most creatives dream of a day where they can sit down and have a muse, have a collaborator, have a co-creator where they can just ideate and then step back and not be involved in any of the doing.
Yes.
And I'm encouraging you to get there as fast as possible because that's actually when your art gets the most exposure. If Taylor Swift had to do everything that was involved in her Eras tour, that tour would still be stuck in the first city she started.
Yeah.
Because she could never have possibly done it all.
Yeah, and it's like her highest value task
is those 3 hours on stage.
Yeah.
And only she can do that.
And writing the songs.
Yeah.
And so she doesn't have space.
With a co-creator, Jason. She has a writing partner. I mean, she knows, hey, I work better with other people. And I know I have a unique point of view, but I'm not special. Together we're special. And I think that's the beauty of entrepreneurship is that you get to build a team of people that the sum of the parts is greater.
Yes.
Right? Than the individuals.
And so if someone listening to this is like, okay, Dan, I would love to be in the strategy ideation phase and not in all the doing and the back and forth and revisions or whatever. What's
the next step?
Yeah, what's the next step from there? And
'em.
who do they hire?
Oh, this is so good.
Yeah.
So I have a very creative friend and she wanted to kind of do another thing. She was stuck in a current business, wanted to do a different industry, but she was worried because she's like, I don't know how to do this new thing. And I just invited her to consider who in your life do you enjoy talking about this with that is really good at this? Name came to her.
Yeah.
Like literally as soon as I asked that question, oh, this person, go create it with that person. Why would she want to do that with me? Oh, there's an interesting mindset belief.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, why was that the first thing that came to your mind? Well, I don't know. She's got her own thing and she's probably really busy. Why don't you at least take her out for coffee and just share? My whole thing is ask for advice, get anything. So like ask for advice about the thing you want to create and see what happens. Well, guess what happened? After the meeting, oh my God, we're doing the thing. This is going to be so great. And I'm like watching these two perfect yin and yang women come together to go create something that individually they could never create.
Yes.
And watching them work together, like I've seen it firsthand, it's so cool. And I was kind of sad that they didn't figure this out sooner. And I think too often people convince themselves out of those relationships, partnerships, opportunities, collaborations, not because the other person didn't want to do it. They never even asked.
Yes.
That's bananas. I actually think like your intuition knows exactly who you need to partner with or collaborate with. And your history of the failed partnership shows up today. Again, not true. You're not the same person. Whenever that thing happened, you're not the same person you are today. You wouldn't allow yourself to take advantage of today. So like using that as a reference to stop you from doing something today is kind of silly. Yeah. And I just think like that's the next step. It's not about a hire. It's sometimes like I meet people throughout the world and I'm like, gosh darn it, you're talented. And I don't know how or when, but I'd love to work with you. It doesn't have to be a long-term thing. It could be a one-time project. But I mean, I'm in town with Taki. Yeah. And like, I love Taki. I wanted to, I literally came to Australia to see him, but I said, if I'm going to be here, I think we should do something together. Yeah. Like those are the kind of things that I think add juice to life that most people don't even consider because of like weird mindset stuff.
Yeah. The collaboration thing, I think creativity loves collaboration. And so the more we can get together with other smart people who have different perspectives to us, we create way better stuff. And that is one thing I think.
And it's more fun.
It's way more fun. And I think as one thing I've really loved as our business has grown is that it's a personal brand. So it's my name, but it feels like the program and the community that we've built, it doesn't just belong to me, it belongs to our team, and they really own the coaches, like have really amazing relationships with the clients. So it feels really like, oh, this is fun. We get to do this together, because that part of scaling really excites me. So it's interesting even hearing you talk about that. I'm like, yeah, that part is really fun.
But this is the language. Again, I'm always looking at like, what do people stuck at 300K do different than people doing 30 million plus? Massive difference. Yeah. You know what the 30 million plus guy does? He walks around asking everybody on his team, how do they make more money? Yeah. You know what the person at 300K never does? Walks around their team, says, how do you make more money?
Yeah. And most of the time they're maybe talking to themselves because they don't have anyone.
They got nothing. Yeah. I mean, and it's just like, if you wake up every day and make it your mission to make everybody on your team wealthier, more successful, more expansive, help them overcome their fears, their negative beliefs, their insecurities, that's a beautiful place to live, and they will never forget that. And you will have an incredible team. And that's why to be a leader, you need followers, and followers need to want to learn from you. And if you're not pushing them to be more, they're not learning. Yeah. And you got to go first.
Yeah. You know? That's so good.
Yeah. Like your expansion can never outpace the team's expansion. So if you want your team to grow,
I've got to grow.
There's no other equation. It's never worked any other way in the history of mankind.
Yes. And you see it when you see businesses collapse because the founder, CEO, or the leader stops growing.
It's all inside. They start taking long vacations. Yep. They start nitpicking things. They start showing up. I call it seagull leadership. They show up, they shit all over everybody, and then fly out.
Or they're...
Yeah, that's a visual one for you.
That's a visual.
Sit on that one.
But also like I've seen this happen where their character doesn't match the vision anymore. And it's like they don't have the integrity to lead.
And the worst part is sometimes the team does, and they're not smart enough to hand over the baton. So I still own SaaS Academy, which is the largest coaching group for software CEOs. Johnny runs it. I'm president. I own it. He runs it. Yeah. Like I don't know any other coaches that have a group that they started, they were the face of it. And no, I don't go to events. I don't do anything. I'm like literally the president. I get a report every 2 weeks. Numbers look good. I don't say a whole lot. Yeah. The only way to do that is by understanding that the team has to kind of propel that vision internally. If you're not that person, you don't have to be. You're allowed to be an owner and not an operator. Like SaaS Academy is allowed to exist without me being involved and still deliver massive value for our clients. The difference is somebody needs to do that. And what I've discovered when you study, I think of like the United States and the power of the dollar, and it's kind of this beautiful brand, right? This like American dream. It's like a really cool, like I'm Canadian, but I'm pretty hardcore American in regards to like my get shit done execution. Yes. Yeah. And then when you look at like these civilizations over the years that have fallen, because they always do. There's never been study history. There's never been a civilization that didn't fall. Out of the 22 that have fallen, I think it's like 19 was from inside rot.
Wow.
It wasn't from an external competitor, whatever, coming in and taking over. Yeah. It died from inside. So that to me is really a doubling down on leadership as the core competency. Like, I think there's a point when the product needs to get really good and your focus is on developing your product. And then usually at about 2 million, the product becomes the organization.
Yeah.
And the same detail you put into the thing you sell, you have to put into the team, the leadership, the org structure, the comp structure, the culture, and the business becomes the product, no longer the thing you sell.
That's so...
Isn't that a neat concept?
That's amazing. And even the distinction for me has been, my job is to no longer to coach my clients. I'm still present, but...
Yeah, you can be a cheerleader.
My job is to coach my team.
Yep.
And they are amazing at coaching
the
clients.
the people build the business.
Yeah. How does a creative person who is the specialist, who is on the tools, and they are very product focused, what is like one step they could take today to go, okay, I am invested in this. What's the first step they should take to go, okay, I need to
just
step into it?
Document and systematize the thing that you don't think is that important, still needs to get done, but you don't love to do. So if I fix cars, I don't need to go buy parts. I'm the guy that works on the car.
Yeah.
I can create a process called buy parts. And as soon as I write a part down, it gets magically ordered and shows up.
Yeah.
And give that to somebody else, right? Or run errands, or maybe I don't like doing the body panels, right? I can hire somebody to do that. It's really to look at your workflow and say, out of all this stuff, where do I think my input is actually the magic and the rest of it is just noise? And also, I encourage people to consider doing that actually creates employment. Doing that creates opportunity for you to pour into somebody else, like somebody poured into you. There's no person that's ever had success that can't point to somebody in their life that stopped to teach, to communicate, to share the greatness they saw or the potential they saw in you. And I just think if you can't let go, like I had a client once, his wife would not let him hire a cleaning lady. That was her job.
Yeah.
That's where I find my value. That's my worth. Like that. Now, she didn't say that, but she was just against it. I don't want a woman in my house. I don't want somebody to do this. I like to do it the way I want it. It gets done right.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know what to do, man. I tried everything. I said, you guys are involved in a bunch of charity stuff? Yeah. I said, okay, so you guys care about the community? Of course. I said, cool. Well, just tell her stop being selfish because she's taking somebody's job. He's like, oh, that'll work. I said, try it out. If you ask that guy 2 years later, that woman that comes in that started by cleaning, that now takes care of the kids, that now takes care of their household, is family.
Yeah.
And she can't even imagine a world where that woman isn't part of her family. And she couldn't get herself out of the way to see that. And I just think that is a cool thing to aspire to have a person, an intern, a cousin, a family member, anybody just around that you get to do, support them in developing who they are because somebody did that for you. And if that's all you ever do, just start there.
And I think that's a cool reframe too, because as we said earlier, I'm willing to keep my team safe. I will suffer and be the one who loses sleep. But I think that's a cool way to think, okay, how do I get out of my head here and how do I get out of my own way? What if I made it about the opportunity for them and what it means for them? I think that's such a
I think life supports those that support life. And what you're doing when you create employment or you create opportunities for people is you're just telling the universe, I want to see everybody expand. And
I love
guess
that.
what happens in your business? You magically get the biggest order you ever gotten that you didn't expect.
Yes.
Surprise? No. Zero surprise.
I really love that. Okay. So I'm just thinking of time. How we're going. I wanted to do a little Chris Williamson moment. I know that you were just on his podcast. I've picked up 3 quotes from you that I thought were really cool, and we can do this rapid fire.
I love it.
You have said your environment is an expression of your beliefs.
Ooh, you saw that one?
I saw that.
I was just talking about in the drive over here.
Tell me more about it.
I don't think people realize that your environment, your container, your peer group, your conversations you allow, the energy you allow is an expression of your beliefs. You're literally telling me through your decisions the way you see the world.
Yeah.
So it's unexpressed expressions. You know what I mean? Because we were talking about the context of a lot of people that have distributed teams. That's interesting. But when you go visit a Jack and Amanda and you see what they've built there, their belief about the future they're building is different than if you meet somebody that has a distributed team, because they're saying, no, I'm going to invest in the space, in the culture, in the vehicle I'm building.
Yeah.
So that's just an example, but it's everything from the clothes you wear to your physicality, what you look like. Do you take care of yourself? The peer group you spend time with.
Yeah.
But it is an expression of your beliefs, 100%. There is no other way. Like everything that you have in your life is a decision about how you view life.
Yeah. I think that's really, really cool. And like things that I kind of think, oh, maybe in my brain, I'm like, oh, that's superficial. But
no, be superficial. This is where I'm controversial, because I believe your container reflects your beliefs, and where you live and allow yourself to live is actually a reflection of what you believe you deserve.
Yeah.
And just like you probably wouldn't take where you live and go find something 10 times worse and be okay with it. You'd probably fight to get out of that situation. You should fight to get in a better situation, especially if you've seen something you desire. If you're flipping through a magazine, you see a home and you're like, oh my gosh, that is like, for me, that home, it might not be the biggest home in the world, because there's always a bigger home, but there's just something about the location, the design, the decor that I personally resonate with.
Yeah.
My philosophy is what you desire, you should go acquire.
Wow.
Period, full stop. And that tells me everything about your self-worth and belief of what you think you deserve.
I think that's so true. Like we've just done this studio, and for ages we were like, we want to do YouTube.
Studio.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
so,
it's
beautiful. As soon as I walked in, I was like, oh, this is beautiful.
It's a lovely little space. But it's like, we weren't going to do YouTube because we didn't have a studio. And so this is going to be the vehicle for us to expand. And so it's this weird thing of going, we had to invest in the space first and do that work. And then it's tangible and physical, but I think it's just going to be such an expansion in terms of the business, because it's going to allow us to actually do things like this, which otherwise would have been a bit of a, I don't know, you'd have to hire somewhere.
It's just different.
It's just a different energy.
Yeah,
so I think that's really cool.
Beliefs.
Okay, next quote. People that desire balance are going to be mediocre.
You grabbed all the like
I grabbed your spicy ones. I did.
By the definition of requiring balance, then you have to be the average, which is mediocre. Because nobody you admire has not done extraordinary feats in regards to who they become, the amount of work they put into, like just the effort. Like balance does not exist in greatness. It's never existed. It's never shown up. And what's funny is like you look up to these people on social media and magazines and the news, like you're like, man, that person is so remarkable. This well put together person, or this incredible speaker, or whatever it is. I'm telling you, there's no part of their life that is balanced. Have they had moments of balance? Yes. But have they had moments where they went all in on themselves and took massive bets and put in the effort and did the reps in the darkness when nobody was watching? 1,000%. It's only ever been that way. So I almost encourage people to just like develop that muscle. You know, my coach, Ed Milet, he says all the time, he says, your capacity is expanded at your extremities. So if all of a sudden you're like, oh, I feel like I'm working too much, I would say, good. Show me what you got. Yeah. Like working too much, what? 3 days of working 10-hour days? Like, calm down there. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, calm, you're going to blow a lid. Like, no, like, show me what you can do. You know, sometimes when I do these media days, I'll do 7 podcasts in one day and a book meetup and a dinner. And people hear that and they go, that's crazy. And I go, good. Yeah. If it wasn't crazy to you, it's actually not going to get what I desire, because what I'm trying to do has never been done before. So if I'm doing things you think is normal, then that's not good, because then I can't do the things that have been done before. Yeah, in order to get the crazy result, you've actually got to be a bit... It's called extraordinary, which has the word extra. If you're not extra, then you're ordinary, hence mediocre.
Yeah. I really like that. I think that's really cool. Okay. Final one, you said, this is quite niche, but you were talking about Canadians, and I feel like Canadians and Australians have a
very similar
thing of like being humble and not wanting to rock the boat.
to a fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes for us as Aussies, we can have a bit of tall poppy syndrome. So we don't, I don't know if you guys.
Sometimes.
Yeah. All the time.
It's crazy.
Yeah, so we don't want people to succeed.
We call it crabs in a bucket because we're like fishermen and stuff.
Right.
Same concept.
I guess that a poppy grows and people cut it down.
That's it.
That's the whole thing.
And the crabs try to get out of the bucket and they pull them down.
Crabs and buckets. I'm going to start saying, is that the expression?
It's a Canadian thing, yeah.
Crabs and
it's the
buckets.
Same thing.
Crabs and buckets. I'm going to start saying that. Okay.
Because if the crabs got together and actually helped each other, they'd all get out of the bucket.
Oh, those crabs.
Which is better than a poppy.
It's better than a poppy.
Yeah, it's a better analogy, maybe.
Poppies. Yeah, anyway, we could talk about poppies. They're pretty ugly until they're not. They're nice. I'm not
gonna lie, I don't know what a poppy looks like, so maybe.
Oh, they're kind of gross.
Okay.
If you come off as if you come off as humble, people won't ever offer to be helpful.
Yeah. But it's the whole idea is people are humble to a fault in the sense that like you're with somebody, they ask you what you do, and you say, oh, I fix cars.
Yeah.
In reality, you own 13 mechanic locations.
Yeah.
Saying you own, like I remember one time I was trying to recruit women for an event, this local dinner I was trying to host, and my goal was 50-50, 50 men, 50 women. It was free. It wasn't like a paid thing. And I wanted everybody to be on the same level. So like million in revenue, minimum, blah, blah, blah. And I couldn't find women to save my life. Mm-hmm. Every time I'd ask people like, I'm looking for, businesses that are doing million that are women led. And everybody's like, oh, I don't know. I mean, Janet has a jewelry shop, but she's probably only doing like 150,000 a year. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm looking for 7 figures. And I remember one time my buddy goes, well, I don't know if Melissa does because she has like a Cairo business, but I think she has partners. And they're like, you should call Melissa. And I went to high school with her. So I called Melissa and I was like, hey, what's your cell? She messages me and I call her. I say, hey, Melissa, I'm like trying to find some entrepreneur women that are doing $1 million in revenue plus, do you mind, like, where are you at? And she's like, oh, well, I'm just like a Cairo. I was like, well, don't you own your location? She goes, I actually own 3. I was like, why do you do that? And she's like, I don't want anybody to know. If you went on her website of the company she owns, under staff, she was listed under the staff doing Cairo, not the owner, not that she owned all 3 locations. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of sad for me because like, here's an opportunity that I went out of my way. You're lucky that I'm willing to dig because you would have not ever gotten the invite to that table. And if you ask her today, the people she met, especially the other women in that room, have become mentors, peer groups, play date friends, etc. Yeah. Because of what? Because of the humbleness, because of I don't want to be braggadocious, because of what? I'm just asking people to state facts. If you run a business, tell people. And look, the thing is whether you like it or not. So what's interesting about men and women, okay? When men talk, they talk like this. Now that I've said this or shown you this, where do you see me in the hierarchy? Mm-hmm. When women share, they share like this. Now that I've shared this information with you, how close do you feel we are?
Yes.
And it drives men nuts because women, when they see each other, they always talk about everything that's going bad. Right? They compliment on the clothes first.
Yes,
oh my God, I love your shoes.
I
oh, I feel close to you. Yeah. Oh, this old thing. Where'd I get this? Oh yeah, no, I got this here. No big deal. And then they're like, oh yeah, no, today's been a little tough. I've been doing this. Oh my gosh.
Yes, we so do that.
100% you do it. I watch you guys do it. I watched you do it just now. Okay. And what I'm saying is if we live in a world that does have men that are in business, that at the end of the day, if they invest in your idea or they buy your product or service or whatever, you have to learn how to communicate like that. And they communicate like this. So if you're not willing to throw that out, you've lost 50% of your potential.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. And guess what? I learned how to do that. Oh my God, I like your shoes. See that I did that?
Yeah, you did that.
I 100% did that.
Did you learn that
it's
from
not
Renee?
hard, people. Take notes. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I think that's good though. I think it's that thing of just being able to Oh, instead of saying, I just run this
No,
little
it's not
business.
you just, oh, I'm just a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
No, you're a stay-at-home mom. That's amazing. I could
that's
not,
badass.
could never do it.
Yeah.
I'm crazy.
Yeah. Love it. Okay, one final rapid fire question for you. If someone listening to this or watching this could borrow a belief from you or steal a belief from you about life, business, yourself, what would that belief be? What was the belief you want people to steal?
I'm not only going to share it with you, I want you to steal it, and then I'm going to help you perfect it. You know how everybody talks about inbox zero?
Mm-hmm.
What about zero inbox?
I like
So
it.
that's the belief. I want you to understand there was a day and time where people did not do email. There's a day and time where billionaires did not sit there in their inbox. So I teach this in my book. It's level 1 of the replacement ladder, which is your executive assistant. And the belief is you have to hand over every inbound email to be processed and filtered through somebody else. So while they're doing all that, I get hundreds of emails a day. While that's being done, I'm here with you. And I don't have to be distracted about the contract or the credit card that just got frozen because somebody did something, or you know what I mean? Like all this crazy stuff that's in my inbox is being processed right now by my assistant. So I want people to implement this so much that I will give you my internal standard operating procedure. Literally the document I use with my executive assistant and I perfected over the last, I've probably been working on this thing for 11 years. And it's yours. Literally, just follow me on Instagram because I'm trying to build my audience, and message me the word EA Laura. If people follow me on Instagram, Dan Martell, 2 L's in Martell, message me EA Laura. If you message me EA, I'm not sending it to you. You have to say Laura because that means you're listening. I'll send it to them. It's like Google Doc direct link, no opt-in, no nothing, and it's sanitized. It's got everything from my preference files to how, like email templates for how to say no, the structure, my North Star principles for what it means to have a great executive assistant, a relationship, the agenda system for a daily meeting. Like it's all in there. It's like 40 some pages.
That's amazing.
No more inbox. Just get rid of it. Like I don't do email.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
That's so, so good. And I think for any creative listening, watching, this is like before you hire a mini you, follow this book, follow the process and actually do it, because this is a game changer. And this one hire can make such a huge difference.
It makes business fun again.
It does.
It does.
It really
does. If you're
does.
in the stuck in the pain line and the hurt, that one hire can literally bring life back into your business.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time, Dan.
So great.
You're a wizard.
This is so awesome. You're awesome.